Hello and welcome to a comparison of the Dark Souls games. I will try and compare the 3 Dark Souls games to one another, except of the second one because I don't believe that's a good game compared to the other games. But I will compare Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3 by 4 topics: combat, bosses, areas, and last but not least, secret areas. Combat. Combat is a major part of any Dark Souls games. It's one of the most important things and the thing that keep people playing the game. But which game has the best combat? For me, there's not much of a difference. But Dark Souls 3 have brought in more variety with the new stand system. But in essence, most players just enjoy pressing R1 or R2 to fight enemies, at least normal enemies in the game. It might be slightly different in the PvP, but I don't PvP a lot, and the PvP hasn't really settled yet, I guess, because there's still going to be updates for the PvP in the future patches, so it's really hard to judge it so far. Parrying and backstabbing hasn't changed a lot in the 2 games, but in Dark Souls 1 it was a bit more abusable, which I like. Yes, you heard it right, I like abuse. Abuse those enemies. The reason why I like it is because it makes all the enemies have this trick to them, so when you have learned this trick, the enemies actually become kind of trivial, and that's pretty nice because I enjoy fighting the bosses, and I don't really enjoy fighting the environment too much. Maybe the first time and the second time, but I don't want to fight the environment more than 2 or 3 times. I just want to run past it and get on with my life. So abusing enemies is the best, in my opinion. All in all, I think that Dark Souls 3 have done some good changes for the combat, but the combat hasn't really changed a lot, so it's a little plus for Dark Souls 3 in this category. Now on to the next subject, bosses. The big difference between the bosses in Dark Souls 3 and Dark Souls 1, in my opinion, is the difficulty curve. A lot of the easier bosses is thrown into the early part of the game, such as the tutorial boss, Wart, Curse Rod, Greatwood, Crystal Sage, Deacons of the Deep, and even some would argue Abyss Watchers. I didn't have that hard of a time with the Abyss Watchers at least. But Dark Souls 1, it's more of a jumbled mess, even though the tutorial boss is pretty easy and also the Terrorist Demon. But you then get to the Gargoyles, who's the first difficulty bump up, but then you fight the Butterfly and the Gaping Dragon, kind of easy bosses, and Krelek, she's also not too bad. And then the Iron Golem, he's also fairly easy, especially if you use Iron Tigers. But then we get to the next bump, which is Ornstein and Smough. They are really hard bosses. But let's back up a bit and talk about some boss designs. If we compare the 2 tutorial bosses in Dark Souls 1 and 3, they are both a good challenge for new players. But for experienced players, they're pretty easy. This to me is really great because in my opinion, Dark Souls is all about learning the mechanics. And when you have learned these mechanics, you should be allowed to feel good about it. And you do that by shitting all over a tutorial boss, in my opinion. Let's move on to the Terrorist Demon, who is actually a really likable boss to me because he's fairly easy to cheese, but you can also fight him the normal way. And that's pretty fun too. In that manner, he reminds me of Yhorm, who you can both cheese and fight in the normal way. It's all up to you, and I like getting these options on how you want to fight a boss. But this can also be done really badly. Such a boss like Ceaseless Discharge, he's very irritating to fight normally and fairly easy to cheese. You can cheese him in multiple ways. But also in Dark Souls 3 you have the Ancient Worgen, who in my opinion is very irritating to fight the normal way, but he also isn't really great to cheese. Let's go on and talk about the gang bosses in Dark Souls 1 and 3. In Dark Souls 1 we of course have the infamous Ornstein and Smough, which I really love that fight. It's such a great challenge, and the reason why we play these games is for the challenge. There isn't really a game boss that compares in Dark Souls 3. The only one I can think of at least is the Abyss Watchers, but the Abyss Watchers is fairly easy in my opinion, and they don't really give you that challenge that Ornstein and Smough did. They are more part of the difficulty curve that I talked about before in Dark Souls 3. Of course, none of these games have perfect boss fights all the way through. I'm looking at you, bit of bullshit. But sadly, Dark Souls 3 also have bad boss fights, such as Aldrich. I really hate her Arrow Attack. It's so bullshit in my opinion. And also the Osiris fight, even though it got some pretty cool lore, that boss arena just screws it up and makes it really feel random whether or not you're going to beat him. Sometimes he's just too easy, and other times he makes you stand up against the wall, or he stands some kind of weird place where you can't really hit him, and then you just die. That sucks. But the thing that makes me real sad is that Dark Souls 3 have dropped all about the tail cuts. I really miss the tail cuts. It was one of the greatest things about the boss fight. And also the Osiris fight. It really looks like he got a tail cut, but he doesn't. And it just sucks as a Dark Souls 1 fan. Dark Souls 3 also are missing those bosses that made you sad. Such a boss like Sif, you will feel bad for killing him, and also if you wanted to kill Priscilla. None of those bosses were bosses you really wanted to kill, except for the souls and the necessity of killing Sif. So in my opinion, Dark Souls 1 got the better boss fights, just because the game forces emotions on you while fighting the boss fight, and some of the bosses got extra objectives such as cutting the tail. But let's move on to the next topic. Areas. Dark Souls 1 set the tone for how a Dark Souls area should be designed. Halfway through the game you get to Anor Londo, which is extremely beautiful, but it's only beautiful because of all the contrast in the game. Before you get to Anor Londo, you have to first be rescued from a prison, then you have to go through ruins filled with hollows, and after that you have to go through the sewers of the depth, and to make it even worse you have to go through and escape the light town, then make it to the well-hidden bonfires of the trap-filled Sen's Fortress. And first then you arrive at Anor Londo. Then after you have gone through Anor Londo, you have multiple choices on where to go. You can either go to the Dark Catacombs, or New Londo, which is in a state of disrepair, or even a place with a terrible lava flare, Isolith. Though granted, Duke Archives and the Crystal Caves are kind of beautiful, but they are still tough areas. One with a confusing puzzle and another one with invisible ways you have to walk on. So all in all, Dark Souls 1 have a lot of depressing areas, but that just makes all of the non-depressing areas stand out. This is where I really feel like Dark Souls 3 is missing some of the point. Dark Souls 3 really likes to leave you in awe, and this is not the feeling I want from a Dark Souls game. I want to feel in despair, so I really feel like I have conquered the area. I don't want to feel sad that I'm leaving an area. I want to feel happy that I'm going into the next. This feeling isn't completely forgotten in Dark Souls 3 though. We have areas such as the Farron's Keep, but that's fairly easy to cheese with a dagger. And then we have the Catacombs, which are also great, but they have one too many bonfires, and the boss in the end is just way too easy. But the rest of the areas of Dark Souls 3 are just so beautiful. Anor Londo, the Boreal Valley, the Profane Capital, Lothric, and all of these places are cool looking and beautiful places, but none of them really stands out to me, like Anor Londo did in the first game. So in conclusion, I believe that Dark Souls 1's areas are better than Dark Souls 3's, because they are way more easy to remember, because they feel so different to one another, and that they feel like a challenge the first time you walk through. And even though Dark Souls 3 also have some challenging areas, it's just not enough. But Dark Souls 1 wins this category. Let's move on to the next category. Secrets. Secret areas are very important to Dark Souls games. It's something that brings the community together. Especially in Dark Souls 1, where the secret areas were way better hidden than they are in Dark Souls 3. To get to the secret areas in Dark Souls 1, you have to either lie down in a bird's nest to get to the starting area again, or randomly hit 2 secret walls in a row to get to Aztec, or find a doll in the starting area after going back and then using in front of a picture to get to the painted world. In Dark Souls 3 it's easier to get to this area by accident. One of the areas you get to by breaking a bridge that look very fragile. Another place you can get to by breaking a secret wall in a room that really feels like it should have a secret wall. The only hard place to get to is the Archdragon's Peak, because you need to learn a gesture, and if you haven't played Bloodborne, then this isn't logical to you. The great thing about really hiding your secrets away is that it brings the community together, and I don't really believe that Dark Souls 3 did this as well, because the secrets weren't hidden away just as well as in Dark Souls 1. So it wasn't really necessary to interact with the community. In conclusion, I believe that Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3 have very cool looking secret areas, but I prefer the way that Dark Souls 1 hid them away, and I can only imagine the satisfaction you would have gotten from finding them by yourself. Even though I feel satisfied with finding the Dark Souls 3 secret areas, it just doesn't compare to Dark Souls 1 secret areas. Overall conclusion, I believe that Dark Souls 1 is the best Dark Souls game ever made. It was the most challenging. It gave me the most downs when I just felt like I couldn't make this. I never really got that feeling from Dark Souls 3. And therefore it also gave me the biggest highs, where I was like, yes, I did this. I finally killed Ornstein and Smough. I'm so happy with myself. And that feeling is very rare to me in games, and therefore Dark Souls 1 has to be the highest game on this list, even though it's more unfair than Dark Souls 3, it's less convenient than Dark Souls 3, and from a gameplay standpoint, Dark Souls 3 is definitely better, but it just couldn't give me that old feeling back of real challenge, and therefore of real satisfaction. But that's just an opinion, a game opinion. See you in another life. Bye bye.